intro. Fuck.
Yeah, let's fucking roll it.
Me. Boop. And we are back. We were just talking about white knighting and how it's a real fucking problem.
Yeah, so the circumstances that I've seen recently is that it's not that people of not a white the white race are saying this is awful. It's been more of a thing of like exactly what you said. They're not commenting on it. But the whole idea is that minorities don't want to feel boxed. That's the thing they're fighting right now. And I understand that.
Yet,
Like I
yet
I
culture has
sim
put them in a box. Like they're so
right,
quick to label people who don't want to be labeled,
right.
or maybe they do want to be labeled, but like not. They don't want to be labeled in a traditional way. So why are we giving them traditional labels? Like
That's what I'm saying though. It's I think it's worse because the fact that I'm like if this white knight person realized what they're doing, they're being a hypocrite. They are boxing them by categorizing what they are and what they're going through. Like you're doing the same exact thing that they're fighting to not. And I know I've heard from a lot of different minority groups that they wish that white people would stop that. And I'm like, and it's not us, it's the white knight people doing it. Because they need to feel relevant to the problem. They need to let people know that they're an ally. And I'm like, just be an ally by not doing the shit that you're talking about. Nobody asked about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. And I'm like, if anything, the person in that minority has the right to talk about it. But that should
yeah,
stop there.
yeah. No, they should be the only ones able to talk about it. And
Right.
I would say I've noticed that this like that whole trend is just creating, I don't know, call me old fashioned, but I don't think you should like yourself that much.
No, yeah.
That's real though. I don't think that you should be so in love with yourself that you think that you're the hottest shit to ever hit God's green earth.
Right.
And maybe I know it all stems from like some form of my anxiety manifesting in like always being hyper socially aware, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I'm the first person to be like, that was fucking cringy, or
Yeah,
I
same.
said something that I'm like, fuck, immediately just like, god damn it, that was so fucking dumb.
Which is a lot of people. Yeah.
But yeah, or being around people, I'm like, dude, you're embarrassing yourself right now, and they don't care. Nobody around me cares.
Right, right.
And it's not like trying to be hateful. I'm just like, dude, oh man, oh shit, stop.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it the way that the society treats that and like wants you to approach that is making a whole generation of unbearable people to
Yeah.
me.
Well,
It's
dude,
like
here's a
nobody wants to hang out with you, man. I'm sorry. Like I know that you think you're doing what's right and you think you're cool because of it, but like really how many genuine friends do you have?
yeah.
Because
People
I
that
guarantee, like, if you go around fucking criticizing people for every little thing that they do that doesn't align with your morality, you're gonna end up very lonely. And you can say that even like very judgy religious people, even they know when to just like talk about it later and not make a point about it, to strain. Like if somebody
right.
does something in front of them that they're not, super cool with. Let's throw a hypothetical out there, right? Midwestern religious woman, right? Her daughter brings home her girlfriend, right? She's not going to say anything right there, even if she disagrees with it. She's not going to, make a deal about it. She'll talk to her husband later about it, and maybe the
Right.
views that she has then are less than great, but you know what I mean? Like, even when they disagree with you, they'll keep their fucking mouth shut and just learn to be at least a little bit copacetic.
Well, and dude, here's the funny thing to go off of that is the cultural appropriation thing that's been it's always been a thing, I guess, but it's taken to the extreme now where my a friend of ours actually was telling me how they took a family trip um I don't remember which state, but they were visiting on a reservation actually to look at old monuments and tribal art and stuff like that. And it was funny because when they visited this place, they had a lot of friendly people there that were involved with the visitors. And one of them was asking all these different girls coming by if they could braid their hair. You could pay them and they would braid your hair like a very traditional indigenous style braid, you know what I mean? And so our friend was saying that he was like, it's really cool that my daughter got to experience that because it was welcoming. It was them welcoming her into their culture and how they do that.
Right.
People like to share their culture.
Yeah.
But think about all the criticism they would get if they posted their daughter's braid on Facebook.
It's cultural appropriation. Yeah.
You made them work for that. They didn't want to do that probably. That's just the only way they make money. I'm like, or it's just really old people who really care about showing that. I mean, there's definitely lines that can be crossed, for sure. But it's like in situations like that, it's like going over to a friend's house and they're like, this is traditional Mexican food. Would it be rude for me to not partake? Like, yeah, I think so.
Especially if you paid her for that food.
Well, and it's like...
That's the other thing is you are stimulating... Like, it would be worse to say, sorry, I'm not going to pay you to braid my hair because that would be cultural appropriation. Right. I think she'd rather... Whoever's doing that hair would rather have the fucking, you know, however much they charge for that in their pocket than have you white knight for them and be offended on their behalf.
Well, and then you think about, like, people who are saying that kind of stuff, like, you can't partake in that. That's not your culture. But these are the same people who go out to an Indian restaurant, right?
And I'm just saying, this is why...
you can't partake in that. You can only have continental food.
Just to clarify, this is the exact same argument Cody makes for why he should be allowed to do blackface. So take this with a grain of salt.
Yes. But it's true though. I'm like,
I was gonna make that a joke about me, but I was like, nah, Cody's not here. I can do jokes at his expense whenever I want.
Yep. He'll hear about it one day.
Like,
and then he probably won't say anything.
Like I wouldn't make that joke when he's on here.
Right.
He would laugh at that.
But that's the funny thing, dude. It's weird because those... I don't even know. I think what I've been frustrated about is that these white knighters, quote unquote, they pick and choose what's appropriate and what's not, because to them it's like, hey, you're kind of doing the white power thing by picking and choosing what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. You're kind of being hypocritical already there, but then you're like, you can't do that. That's not culturally appropriate. It's not your culture. But then these are the same people who go out to a Chinese restaurant and eat Chinese food.
Right,
it's like,
yeah. Well,
no, dude.
You're not allowed to eat Indian food anymore.
Right.
And the guy who, you know, has put 2 of his kids through college on that restaurant he's going to have to go out of business because he's been serving white people Indian food.
Right.
So, it's an Aunt Jemima situation.
It's very interesting.
That one's still
whole picking and choosing.
That one still fucking baffles me, bro. That they thought it was better to get a woman of color off of a bottle.
Yep.
Like, who did that help? Now there's less black representation in food. How did this do anything or help anyone?
And nobody gave a shit when the entire family of that descendant grandmother who started that recipe and was the founder of it was what the fuck? Don't take her face off. And they were like, but it's wrong. They're like, we're her family. We're also black. Like, what?
Well, here's the thing. They were saying, from what I had heard, the person who started the company had actually stolen it from the lady or whatever. Like, they didn't make much, if any, money on it. Mm-hmm. And that was like the whole reasoning. But I guess it comes down to, like, is that in the past? Has the family moved on? And did you help or hurt by removing a person of color from, you know, a product?
Right.
It's like, look, realistically, dude, I'm going to be straight with you, and this might come across a little bit racist, but if you give me pancakes and syrup made by a Southern white woman, and then you gave me pancakes and syrup made by a Southern black woman, I'm gonna eat the
Like the
black
black
woman's
woman.
pancakes
Yep.
every fucking time.
That's
So,
like going to a Cajun restaurant and you see white people working there. You're like, dude, this shit is disgusting. I already know it is.
bro, if you go into a Mexican restaurant and you see a white boy in the kitchen, fucking leave. Don't
That's what
eat
I'm
there.
saying, dude.
It's
It's
trash.
not right. It's not
fucking
right.
trash. And I say that as a white boy that attempts to make Mexican food all the time.
Uh-huh.
We can't. We just don't have it in us, man. It's not a skill. It's a gene.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? Is like us as Coloradoans can make some damn good green chili, right? Where do you
Yeah.
think fucking where do you think that came from though? You know, like
Right.
we spent generations
Yeah,
learning.
people give me a funny look when I tell them I roasted chilies for an entire summer or two.
I know, right?
Like what?
That's
But
not a
I
white
think
person's job,
yeah, I
Boston.
think that's exactly what it is. They're like, I think you're confused, buddy. You didn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
don't put me in a box.
Well, it's because you're taking the minority's job, so stop doing that, you know.
Right. Dude, yeah, there's some weird stuff happening. I fucking hate. We started off political and we're going to keep going political, but I was trying to watch the news, trying to come up with like topics for tonight, and I was watching basically just like the live broadcast that ABC does on YouTube. It's just their like 24/7 news cycle literally on one channel.
Right.
And I'm watching through all these stories, and I started it because I was watching the Biden sending fucking 1,500 troops down to the southern border when the COVID restrictions lift on the border, because they're expecting an influx of migrants. So I was trying to like find something in that, and I'm kind of like, you know, it sounds like a shit detail for whoever has to do it, because they're basically supposed to be acting as not TSA, what CSA, whatever. It's like the fucking border crossing, not the patrol agents, but like the people that actually work the booth and like actually help people. About. Yeah. So they're supplementing their, you know, people. They're not actually patrolling the border or anything. So I'm like, you know, sounds like shit detail, but it's not like anything really that newsworthy. But I noticed throughout all of the programs, there's like key words that they drop, and it's like in this, what is it? God damn it, I can't remember what it is they're saying. They say it every fucking like time they have a chance to. Oh, decisive time in America or something like that. In this like thing, it's like in this time where, you know, everything is kind of up in the air. Like they keep pushing this message of like there's a time of unrest right now.
Yeah.
Which I found very weird. And they also kept plugging every show as like the show that America wants, the show that America needs. This is what America needs right now. And like they just kept throwing that like this is for America. If you're America, you like this. It was just very like it was very distasteful, I thought. But
I think that's been a common theme in even TV shows recently. Is there's a lot of messaging going on. And you know, looking back, there's, you know, you grow up in, like, I grew up watching Disney movies all the time, and there was always a moral to the story, you know, that's highlighted in children's literature.
Yeah, when there were true evils and they didn't try to fucking like give the evil person a backstory that makes you kind of feel bad for them. That was such a good literary arc, like when it hadn't been done before, you know, but now it's been done to death. And it's a cool thing because it's rare, and it's only works that way if it stays rare, you know. That trope of like, oh, something terrible happened to the villain, that's why they're evil now. Sometimes there's just evil in the world, man. And
that's the thing that I
not sometimes, most of the time there's just evil in the world, man.
Yeah. Well, and there's TV shows that are interesting to me to like analyze as somebody in science, like
Hawaii Five-0.
Fuck yeah, dude, that show's awesome. Cultural appropriation, they can't live there.
Right.
No, I
fucking
mean,
Irish
like,
guy, Ohana.
Yeah. It means family.
Does it?
The
You potato muncher?
fucking what's that show? You on Netflix that
Oh,
everybody is obsessed with.
yeah.
The
Don't,
the thing
that's a
is
weird show.
the thing is I find it interesting because despite what I said about and what you were talking about, like, maybe this is why he's evil and stuff. It doesn't really. It paints the picture where you start to sympathize with him at one point because it's like, at the end of the day, he kind of recollects himself to who he really is, and you'd feel bad for him. Like he was abused as a kid. He watched his mom get abused. His mom left. Like things like that. That you're like, okay, that sucks. Like I understand why he was mentally unwell now, but
Right.
it's also at the end of the day, they bring it back to why he's evil. Because whatever had happened has caused him to become so sick that he dissociates so much from who he is and the empathy part of him. It's it still highlights the fact that what he's doing is a crime and it's wrong. And so there's some appreciation for that because it's like you get to watch, you almost like psychoanalyze this guy through the whole show. And it's really interesting to see that like there are people in the world like that you see all
Yeah.
sorts of parts of them. And so it's like the message is obviously mixed, but I interpret it as what I said, where you see all these different parts, but at the end of the day, the guy is still evil. Like even at the
Yeah.
last two
And they,
episodes of every season, you feel bad for him, and then at the last 10 minutes of the finale, you're like, "Yep, this guy's evil for sure."
yeah, I do like how they disassociate in a way the audience the way that he must disassociate,
Right.
like when it's kind of like you're rooting for them all the way up until he makes that like decision to fucking kill somebody or whatever. You're like,
Yep.
oh god, that was terrible. Like
Yeah.
I'm no longer on his side. But even then, it's kind of like, I don't know, a lot of people grow up without a mom,
Yeah. And there's,
or a lot of people
you
grow
know,
up with unhealthy relationships with their mothers, or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, and even that, it's more than just doing that, like highlighting mental health for people that feel alone. It's really gets to the extreme of like this is people who are actually sick, who are either schizophrenic or, fatal at that point, or dangerous, considered
Right.
dangerous. It highlights the fact that we can't normalize people like that though. That is just unfortunately the way it is. Like the movie Split or whatever with the guy, he's four different personalities, whatever.
I think it was 8.
Yeah, I think so. So I just remember it's a lot, but it's like at the same time you kind of start to sympathize because he has this terrible background, but then at the same time it's like nobody took control of this. It's just the way it is, and unfortunately that's just what it's led to, but it doesn't mean that we carry on like it's normal because that person could kill someone or cause damage to
Yeah, I
themselves
do
or
feel like it kind of normalizes that aspect of like, if wrong has been done to you, then you can do wrong and nobody can
right.
question that. It does
Yeah.
kind of reinforce that, and I've noticed that a lot in recent years, and just in all forms of media, like that victim mentality of wrong has been done to me, therefore I can do wrong unto the world. When
Right.
that's just not how things should work. That's not how they have worked.
Mm-hmm.
That has been done before, but it hasn't worked.
And I will say, I'm going to use your phrase, call me old fashioned, but I'm somebody who struggles with mental health issues, right? A lot of people do. But at the end of the day, it's not that I ignore them or put them on the back burner. Every now and then I do when I'm busy and I can't really focus on myself or anything. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, man, dude, I wake up really sad, but I still drag myself out of bed to do stuff. And I don't go out into the world ready to blame everybody else for my problems. Because at the end of the day, they have their own shit. I have my own shit. I can't project on people because that's just not what you do as an adult, like a normal functioning adult in that sense, where you take care of yourself, you leave other people alone, You know, and if anything, if you feel generous enough, reach a hand out if you can. But I mean, the other part of it is my job highlights a lot that you should be vulnerable, that being a good leader is being vulnerable. And I counter argued with them because I was like, not necessarily. My vulnerability, sure, to the extent of I'm going to clarify how I want to be a leader and how I'm there to be a servant leader, you know, and be inclusive and grow my team and stuff. But at the end of the day, people don't really need to know what I do outside of work
People don't
unless,
respect
you know.
vulnerability, and that's a real like disconnect between I don't I don't know if it's like generational or what, but
Right.
it's just it you can't reinvent the wheel. Like we know how people work. We know how production works. We know how to make people productive. People
Right.
will not be productive if they don't respect the organization or the person that they work for. And
Hmm.
people don't respect vulnerability. They might appreciate it here and there, but they don't respect it.
Well, and like that's the
And
thing is,
I
don't get me.
appreciate vulnerability, but I don't want to work for a boss that's always telling me about his fucking weekend and his wife troubles, you know?
Well, and that's the thing is like, don't get me wrong. I have a couple closer friends at work that I've had really deep conversations with, but that's just because that relationship developed
Right. But
separately, and I'm also not a supervisor of them.
right.
I am a collaborative person with them,
And that's
and
totally fine. There's nothing wrong with making friends at work,
right,
but
right.
not
But
you don't want to be you don't want to be friends with the boss. The boss shouldn't be friends with you.
I agree with
And
that.
you know, if you want to be your own boss, then be your own boss. But if you're going to work for somebody, you don't want to work for somebody that's constantly putting their problems on you that are not work related. You
Yep.
don't like, and you don't want to work for somebody. Here's the people like comfort, right? You're not
Hmm.
comforted by the idea that your boss doesn't have it all together. You know deep down that they don't, and you
Right.
pointed it out to your coworkers, or your coworkers pointed it out to you when they don't. But you like
Hmm.
to feel like they do, because otherwise, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. Well, and that's the thing I see a lot in my workplace because again, it's a lot of young people coming into college. They're like I said, they're learning how to be open-minded, they're developing their own beliefs, things like that. But these people like to project a lot. They like to tell you their life story and they like to get deep about it. And it's like as someone who's not uh emotional in that sense and I don't connect well with people on that kind of level, especially because I'm not a deeply emotional person. Like I can't just be like, oh my gosh, like yeah, tell me your life story. I'm not one of those people. Respect to those people, you know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just not like that. So as somebody who's their leader, it's hard because it's like how can I can't look at you differently because now you've played as almost a sympathy card in a way where I
Right.
just how do I delegate work to you without triggering you? You know, like because
Yeah,
then it
and
becomes a
it
lot of
sucks,
times it
but like
becomes like an excuse, you
that
know?
is the risk you run if you want to become like close friends with people you work with, but also progress in the company or whatever. That's the risk you run. That eventually one day you're gonna kind of have to drop them as friends because if you
Right.
become their boss, you can't be buddies with them. That it just doesn't work. It's and that's on a whole. I'm saying like that's the average. I'm sure there's exceptions to that. But on average, you can't be friends with your boss. It just doesn't work.
Well, that's the fundamental rules people will tell you. Never go into business with your family and never go into business with your friend
Yep.
because bridges
Shit
are burnt.
will get in the way. God damn it. I wish you had told me that before we started this show.
Well, I mean, honestly,
I'm in
it
business with my
becomes
friend and my family.
yeah. Well, and it's kind of hard because it's like at a
That's why
level
nothing
like
ever gets
this,
done around here.
at a level like this, it's easier to be open and honest about things and be
Right.
more passive. But when you're
Especially when there's no
dependent
money on the
on
line. Like,
yeah,
there's
I
no
would
money on
say
the line here except for the money we pay out of our pocket every month to make this happen, you know?
because it's a passion though. It's a
Right.
passion
It's something we
project, you
want to
know.
do. I mean,
Right.
I would say I don't care if people don't listen. I do care. I want people to
Right.
listen. I want to feel
Right.
like there's some point to me doing this. But at
Mhm.
the, oh, I almost said at the end of the day because you've been saying it all night. At the end of the day, no. But it is like something that I just like doing and I will continue to do it whether people listen to it or not.
Yeah, because it's at the end of the day, it's your
Let's
passion
sorry.
that you share with other people,
Yeah.
and that's also being, you know, smart with your choices, like I said, being in
Dude,
business with your family,
that's the
money's
biggest.
dependent there.
That's the
That's probably
biggest
not a good
thing.
idea.
Honestly, I've seen it as both a down or a flaw in myself and the world around me is people just don't make good choices anymore. Like
Yep.
there's nobody's out here trying to make good choices anymore. They just try to be as
Relevant as they can.
as relevant, like what's the word? It's like immediate satisfaction. They
Instant gratification.
instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
The world we live in today is all about instant gratification. There's no wait and payoff anymore, and
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to be going that well. Let's get into lighter shit. Or heavier shit.
Well, have you ever been chased by the cops?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've run from the cops. I don't know if I've been chased.
Okay, yeah. When did you run from the cops, though?
I'm trying to think. There's two occasions that come to mind, but what brings this up? Why are you asking if I've run from the cops?
So I was sitting having a beer at the brewery on campus that I go to.
Oh, that's one of the places I've run from the cops.
I remembered that you had mentioned at one point that you were like, yeah, the quad there? Yeah, I tripped trying to run from the police, and I'm sitting there looking at the lawn, sipping my beer like, huh, yeah, that brings up some funny memories. And I don't know, I was starting to think about stories that I've been encountered cops and I was talking to a friend and they were telling me stories and I was like, it's really funny how we try to play it casual when we're like, yeah, we gotta leave. Like whether it's you're getting followed by a cop when you're driving and you're like, I'm just gonna pull into this neighborhood and pretend like I live here, or just so
I'm
I
not
can
the
get
only
away
one
with
that does
stuff.
that.
No, you're definitely not. I do that anytime there's a cop behind
Anytime
me.
there's a cop on my ass, I make a turn
Yeah.
that's not my turn, that I'm just trying
Uh-huh.
to not have a cop on my ass. I don't know.
He doesn't need to stare at my car that long is the
Not even
thing.
that I'm doing anything illegal. I just feel like I live in a police state.
Oh, dude, the anxiety is so real. I am like, drug
Yeah.
test me right now. Look through my car. I'm clean, bro. I got
Well, maybe
nothing but the
that is
highest
probably
anxiety.
a part of it, I guess. But I felt that way probably forever since I could drive at least, but even probably a little bit before that. But like if I were pulled over, one, I would not get if they were like, "Oh, you're drunk," and breathalyze me, I would never blow because I don't drink and drive. I don't smoke and drive. I don't,
Same.
worst case scenario, there's something wrong on my car that they don't like, like my taillight's out or something.
Right, which has happened to me the only
But
times I've been pulled over.
if they ever decided to be assholes and they were like, "We suspect you're high and driving," the only methods they have to test for that, I know, would like report something, So I guess there is a little bit of that in me where I'm just like, I can't even risk getting pulled over at this point, because if I get pulled over and they test me, I'm not high right then. I haven't smoked that day, but I smoked the day before, and a blood test will show that,
Right. And how's that going to reflect back in your other parts of your life?
Exactly. So cops are just a scary thing. I totally get it. That's why I run from them. Yeah, so what you're talking about, so it was Taste of Denver, right? Let me set the scene. Taste of Denver circa 1920, no.
1925. When
no,
the brewery first opened.
Fuck, this was probably in like 2017, I want to say 2018 maybe.
Sounds about right.
I want to say 17 probably. We were at Tasted Colorado. We got tickets to Coyote Ugly for like free shots or half price shots or something. So we went to Coyote Ugly, and we were already pretty good when we got there, but we left Coyote Ugly pretty fucking hammered and wandered our way around downtown to MSU Denver's campus, which at the time I didn't even go to school there. I was a student at a different college. I ended up graduating from that school, but I wasn't a student there at the time.
They have your wanted poster up, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know if we can admit you, bro. Aren't you that fool?"
Right. So we get there and we're pretty set to go. Like we don't need to be drinking more, but I think we were waiting for somebody to pick us up. Yeah, that's exactly it. We were waiting for somebody to pick us up. So we decided to go into the brewery on campus there, and they had this crazy beer on their menu because it's a microbrewery, so they make all kinds of weird shit. It
Yep.
was like,
9% and above.
yeah, it was. I think it was like a fucking 16% beer or something. Which at
Holy
that point
crap.
I'm like, is this a malt liquor? I don't.
Yeah. Just give me the handle, bro. Like, you don't gotta disguise it.
Yeah, just pour shots at this point. But we all got that, and we get out of the brewery because our ride's getting close, and we're waiting out there. We kind of like lay down in the field. There's a soccer field in front of the brewery. Kind of lay down in the field and not pass out, but we're kind of on the verge of passing out. If we weren't waiting for somebody, we'd take a nap. And we get up and we start kind of walking over to where the person is because they're pulling up. And I tripped. No. Yeah, I tripped and like did a somersault. And like two of the people in front, it was like me and two or three other people tripped and did somersaults at the same fucking time.
Synchronized.
It was like something out of a swimming, like synchronized swimming. So we all trip and do somersaults on the fucking sidewalk, and the campus security. Now, bear in mind, the campus security drives around in like one of those Chargers that they used to use as police interceptors.
Right.
So they pull up with like a police car, and they like mount the curb, and I get up from my somersault, and I'm just like, every man for himself, and I fucking take off, running, sprinting. I run. It's hard to like set up the area, but I basically run past the car. I ran towards them and ran past them, and then went around the parking garage that's across the street from the brewery, went around it, and then ran like 3 miles into downtown Denver until I ended up like way far away from where we were. And I'm freaking out. I'm calling people. I'm calling a ride. I'm like, they all got arrested, dude. And meanwhile, they're all sitting in her car like, what the fuck is wrong with you? The campus security just pulled up to make sure everyone was okay and that we had a ride.
I was like, what's funny is that
So I didn't actually
was gonna
run from the cops there. It was more like I took off from campus security for no reason, but
That's what I was gonna say. It's like the worst thing they were probably gonna do is be like, "Hey, you guys okay? Like, are you getting a ride?"
that's exactly
What's
what they
going on?
did. They were like,
Yeah.
who's picking you up? Because none of you were driving, clearly, and our ride was right there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was gonna say,
Sober. She was the DD. She couldn't make it to the event, so she offered to pick us all up and hang out with us afterwards.
yeah,
So-
and it's funny because I was like, man, if they weren't like that though, discrimination, because there'd be a lot of homeless people on campus during the day and at night, and nobody does anything about it. Nobody. And
I think this was like 2017 or 18, so this was before things got really bad in Denver.
well, especially
Campus
now,
wasn't
dude, it's-
overrun yet.
Well, and it's honestly, that's like a whole other topic, but yeah, that has definitely been a issue recently. There's been a lot of, I think, just in this last year, I think for a while it was like once a week there was like area police texting.
I know, I keep
students, telling
getting
them
them
there's
because they
something
think I
going-
still fucking go there or something.
Well, and it was thankfully pretty much every time in the last couple months I was not on campus. But,
Yeah, I remember being on campus when some shit would go down and everybody's
Well,
like, what
same.
the fuck?
Same, and I don't know.
You could always tell
I
somebody
was-
got stabbed by a homeless guy because everyone in class would check their phone at the same time.
Well, dude, this is worth mentioning because almost kind of find it funny, but I feel bad for the guy. Don't get me wrong, just the way that it happened. But did you ever hear about that guy that was waiting at the light rail and this like cracked out dude came up and started beating the shit out of him, but he pushed him off this guy's own skateboard and beat the shit out of him with his own skateboard? Like, what the fuck? and there's like a picture of it that they
Like
sent, and I was
the
like,
homeless guy beat this guy with his own skateboard, or the
yeah,
guy?
yeah, no,
Oh
it was
wow,
this guy waiting at the light
damn.
rail on his own skateboard. Homeless dude comes up, pushes him off the skateboard, picks up the skateboard, and starts beating the shit out of him with his own skateboard.
And look,
I was like, what?
I think this plays into a lot of probably how I feel about all things, but at a certain point, it's like you got beat up by a homeless guy, you know?
With your own skateboard?
Like, how weak are you? And I
Yeah.
say that as somebody who has been attacked by a homeless guy in Denver.
Oh
I
yeah.
have literally been in a fist fight with a homeless guy in Denver because he was cracked out of his mind and decided I was his target that day. How
That's what I'm
fucking weak
saying,
are you
though.
that you cannot kick a crackhead's ass? What the fuck?
Dude, the amount of harassment on campus too, whether it's physical or not,
But
it's just unreal.
but you know, if he was a student there and he defended himself in that situation, he would have been expelled from MSU for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, or
They
whatever.
would have been
I
like,
mean,
"Oh,
it's,
you fucking attacked a homeless person. You can't go here."
that's not just speaking about MSU though. I mean, there's students
That's just
from
colleges in general.
there's 3 colleges on that campus. He could have been part of any of them, or
Right.
he could have just been a dude that was taking that light rail home. Like he
Right.
may not have been a student. You
Well,
know?
that's kind of like that fucking. I don't want to get too into it at all, but it's kind of like the shit that just happened in New York with the guy that fucking choked that guy to death.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's been harassing people for years and nobody's done anything about it. He was arrested like fucking 70 times or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
It at eventually something's going to that has to come to an end. Like that can't just go on forever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you shit your pants recently as an adult?
Maybe.
I'm sorry. I had to get to this topic because you have given not only myself but your husband, my friends, your friends, people in your life. You've just sat on this very high horse of I have never shit myself in as an adult, and I'm just very excited that it's finally happened.
I was so proud of the fact that it hadn't. But in my defense, I definitely had a virus. All right, the people that I know that
Yeah,
just
we've all had
just
viruses. We've all had fucking hangover diarrhea, dude. It's all the same shit.
okay, but there's sober people in my life that just fucking shit their pants, and that's something else wrong with them. Because there was a time recently where a lot of people around me were getting like some kind of food poisoning. I thought because I was like, the fuck do I feel
Yep.
so shitty?
I had that shit
Literally.
that same week, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's when I was like, fuck. And then I was reading more about the norovirus stuff, and I was like reading how it's extremely easy to pick it up. Like you could just
Norovirus.
eat. Yeah. It's like it's pretty much what you had and what your
Oh.
girlfriend had and what I had.
Oh shit. Is
It's
that a baby
oh,
disease? That sounds like a baby disease
maybe. I don't know.
or an
It's
animal disease.
it's basically like a food poisoning though. You get it for like a day and a half, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're fine. Like it's just over.
That's exactly what we had because I thought it was
Yep.
food poisoning because I had it first, but first among us. I am sure I got it from somebody at work or
Mhm.
something, but I got it and I thought I was food poisoned, and then as I was getting over it, my girlfriend got it and she got it bad, and then you told me the next day you had gotten it, and we were all over at something together. So I was like, okay, that definitely wasn't food poisoning, but what the fuck was it? Because I was literally sick for like 24 hours.
Well, and then it was funny because then I had heard a friend at work had a similar issue. I don't know the violence of their sickness or anything, obviously, but they had the same kind of thing. It
Mine
was like
was-
a day and a half, and they were
Mine was
fine.
bad, dude. I woke up in the morning just fucking vomiting and violently shitting.
Mine, I luckily only got the violent shitting, but it's still almost. I mean, everybody doesn't like it, but I fucking hate puking because I'm a dry heaver.
So bad. Yeah.
So I can't catch my breath while I'm
Mhm.
puking at all, and I just dry heave for like 5 minutes, just deoxygenated. I'm just dying, you know. But it would suck, dude. I was literally like, I feel like garbage. I had been farting that whole night. I was like, something's wrong with me. I've already gone shit 3 times. Within the last 2 hours, that entire day, I think I shit like 12 times, and I was like,
Oh my god.
holy fuck. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot. Like, so,
Thank God that happened on my weekend. I didn't have to. I couldn't have done work like that. I would have had to take the day off.
well, I felt shitty all day, and luckily it did not hit me at my job or school or whatever I was doing that day, but I definitely felt really icky and just like, what the fuck? And I think I had gone to the gym that day, so I figured my stomach was just upset from probably like my pre-workout or just eating something after that didn't agree with me.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I was literally sitting there on the phone with a family member, and I was telling him how I was like, yeah, this has been a rough night. I've been pooping 7 times. And then while we're in the middle of talking, I was like, this person was telling me they were having similar issues. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Speaking of that, I need to let you go. I'm about to shit my pants, and hung up on them.
Oh no.
And I ran to the bathroom and I didn't make it. And luckily, it wasn't a
Oh.
lot, but it was definitely like, oh, fuck. I
the
shit my
the
pants.
fuck. I
I can.
remember. I don't know if it was the first time I shit my pants as an adult, but it was definitely like
Mhm.
one of the first times because I wasn't really sure what to do. Looking back, I'm like, would have done that completely differently. But I was living in Arvada. It was in the middle of summer, no heat, like, or no AC. So I just had the window open and a fan going, fucking cooking. I'm sitting
Mhm.
there, and it was just like one of those like, oh, this is gonna be a nice fart, and I quote unquote farted, and just felt, it was like
Quote
that,
unquote.
quote unquote farted. It's like the air quotes farted. Um, yeah, and I just felt that happen. And as soon as it happened, I knew what had happened, and I was, as I usually do at home, wearing basketball shorts, no underwear, because that's the best way to chill. I was just wearing basketball shorts and
Oh,
underwear, no underwear, laying in bed, and I feel that happen. I'm like, fuck. The bathroom is very close, right? Very, very
right,
close.
but
So I'm
you
like,
have roommates and shit, right?
right, exactly. So
At
I
the
had to
time.
so I kept the pants on and just try to kind of waddle my way to the bathroom, not realizing the extent of what had just happened.
He's like, "Mommy, my fart's on the floor."
Literally, bro, I came out of the bathroom and there was a shit
No,
trail to
yeah,
my room. I
he's
was like,
over.
oh no, I'm fucking trying to clean it up before my roommates see it. It was so
That's
bad.
like our family friend. They always talk about how their daughter, when she was young, when she did that one time, she was like, "Mommy, my fart's stuck in my pants." She shit her pants. Boston walks out of his room. Richie, there's a fart stuck in my pants.
My fart's on the floor, guys. Don't go upstairs.
Dude, that's what sucks. Is
I'm
that's
so
how.
glad
That's
you
why.
finally shit your pants, dude. Welcome,
Dude,
welcome to adulthood.
it was funny though, because that was the same thing that happened to me. Is I had an extremely long, very bubbly fart like 2 minutes before that. Then all of a sudden is when I felt my gut start ripping, and I was like, I think that fart is what did it though. I think I shit when I farted. And then finally my body's like, nope, we taking out the rest. So yeah, that was a rough time.
Yeah.
Um, whatever, you know what does Ted Mosby say on How I Met Your Mother? It's like
Oh,
puke
that.
free since
Yeah.
1999. Yeah, it's like I feel like I lost my card, like I
Oh
can't
yeah.
say that I have it as an adult.
Well,
Or ever. Like honestly, since I was in diapers, dude, like I've always held that shit. I'm notorious for holding my puke till I get to a toilet and shit. Like I am not a messy person.
oh, I'm not, dude. I can't. I'll just fucking spew where I'm at.
Mm, that's actually funny because I'm not. I lost my card on that too.
Oh,
New
really?
Year's
Oh
2020.
yeah.
I
Forgot about that.
2022. I ran downstairs. Actually, I was laying in bed, and the problem was I mixed my own drinks at one point in the night, and I was trying to make a screwdriver. Apparently, I had a hint of orange juice in it because it was mostly vodka, and I think that's what did it for me. I puked all the way home. Kept having to have my husband pull over, and so I could puke, and it was just ugly, and I was sad. felt bad for him. Then I get home. This motherfucker's like, yeah, I need a shit. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go pass out on the bed. And then I all of a sudden just, when you just resurrect from your
Yeah.
bed when you're like, fuck, you're about to spew everywhere.
Yeah.
I get up and I run to the bathroom and I'm banging on the door because I realize he's in there and I'm like, get out. And he's like, I'm shitting, I can't. And I was like, he's like, you wasted so much time just banging on the door. You probably would have had time to go downstairs to the toilet. Well, so my body, I'm drunk, right? Like, I'm flinging my body around trying to run. I look like Phoebe from Friends. Well, I get downstairs, and our bathroom's down kind of a long hallway. Well, I'm running so fast, my momentum, I couldn't catch myself, so I slam into the wall and just puke everywhere.
Oh, no.
I just spewed left, right, all over the wall and the floor, and so then I step over it, go to the bathroom, finish puking, clean up my mouth, and then I come out and I see that shit, and I'm like, I'm sad. Drunk, just puked, cleaning up my puke off the wall and the floor. I go upstairs and I pass the fuck out. I was like,
dude.
I'm done. So yeah, dude, I had never, ever since I was a baby, Mom had always told me, she's like, you were a good child. You always held your puke till you got to the toilet. She always used to rip on you because she was like, this motherfucker just woke up and puked. She's like, you always made an effort to get to the toilet. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
no, I'd wake up and pee, puke, poop, whatever, in spot, dude. I didn't give a fuck.
Remember when you used to pee in my room, you motherfucker?
And on that note, follow us at Don't Tell Me Cast on social media all over the place.
And keep it in your pants. Or no, keep it in your body. What? That's what I mean.
Yeah, there you go.
Or get it to the toilet.
Jesus Christ. Don't Tell Me Podcast, Don't Tell Me Cast. We're one of those two on everything. Like, share, subscribe. I don't know when Cody will be back. We'll just keep pumping him out until he's back.
Cody's dead.
Yeah.
We're back on that. Cody's dead. Just for a little while.
He's locked in my basement. Feminist women love bossy. God damn it.
He'll be back.
Chicka. All right, yeah. We'll get you guys next time on Don't Tell Me.
Bye.